At some point, the rules end and the person begins. Years of evaluating businesses and reviewing credit taught me something about discretion. There were times when I could sit quietly with a credit proposal and sense almost immediately that something didn't add up. Not necessarily a lie. Sometimes the figures didn't quite fit the explanation. Sometimes everything appeared just a little too tidy, or the information seemed to create a picture leading very conveniently towards the decision somebody obviously wanted me to make. Experience had taught me to notice. But one of my earliest lessons about discretion was considerably less subtle. As a young loans officer, I went out to evaluate a development project. We were essentially in the middle of the bush when I was offered an incentive and presented with an envelope. I remember saying that unless what was in that envelope was enough for me to walk away and live a good life for the rest of my life, it wasn't worth it. I still laugh at my youthful logic, but underneath it was a serious question. What was I prepared to risk for something I wanted in that moment? The challenges to our discretion are rarely that obvious. Sometimes there's no envelope. Sometimes we simply want an outcome so badly that what supports it gets more attention than what challenges it. Or a rule which initially seemed perfectly reasonable suddenly becomes inconvenient when it prevents us from getting what we want. That's when discretion can quietly become indiscretion. I've seen versions of that throughout my professional life, and increasingly I recognize the same human tendency as I examine decisions in organizations and nationally. The difference is the reach of the consequences. My poor discretion may affect a number of people, and executives can affect an entire organization. But at the highest levels of national authority, one discretionary decision can affect someone's livelihood, reputation, opportunity, freedom, or future. The higher the authority, the higher the standard of discretion we should expect. Because we can't create a rule for every circumstance. Eventually, someone has to judge, somebody has to choose. And perhaps we should spend as much time examining the qualities required to exercise authority as we spend deciding who should have it. Awareness, competence, discernment, judgment, even character, and values strong enough to remain intact when nobody is standing nearby with a rule book. Because eventually the rules end and the person begins. I've explored this further in my latest Becoming Insight. The higher the authority, the higher the standard. And perhaps there's a question in it for each of us. As the authority we carry increases, is the quality of our discretion increasing with it?